Super BS.
Well, Lottie frickin' die. It's me, Super BS Branky Poo, the lovable baby boy who's back from the dead and ready to break some bread. I'm actually back from the dead this week. I went to a weird, deadly island in the Pacific called Tejas. I think it was named after the restaurant, and I got stuck there. It was a very weird tropical climate. I joined who am I talking to today? It's probably a random different person.
Just Jay Jolly, the CEO of Broler Incorporated. Just busy at work, working on our special line of Broke to the Future memorabilia.
It doesn't even, at that point you can't even tell you're saying bro oak. You're gonna have to put bro and then dash in there when you're saying it, because you're just thinking you're talking about somebody who's poor to the future, which is the truth. Anyways, yeah, I went to this tropical climate to see you recently. It was really beautiful there. I was just relaxing on the beach, maxing and relaxing. I got infinite groceries. I didn't wait for food. I lived a beautiful life, and I wasn't stuck. That is the truth. That's we didn't miss last week because we were stuck. We missed it because we were partying too hard in the Bahamas, also known as Tejas. Were you there too? I think you were there, right?
Yeah, I was part of the Day After Tomorrow too.
Oh man, that movie was so bad. That is literally what happened. We were stuck in Texas. One person by choice, Jay Jolly. The other person by friendship, me, baby boy Brink. By friendship, I was stuck in Tejas. Yeah, man, that Texas life. You want to tell people what it was like from your perspective before I get into us Austonians' lives?
We're stuck in the house. We had the roads were icy. You couldn't even see the roads. You couldn't even see your lawn. You couldn't see the driveway. You just saw snow, and then the snow turned into ice, and then everything's finally melting now. But we had, bad internet. There's been people who had no electricity, and we got, we had my parents here, and we had other friends here who got stuck here like you did, and they were eventually able to find their way out. But yeah, I know this is like one of those once every 30-year storms that just stormed away and left some of us miserable,
Man, this thing, dude, from my perspective, I literally felt like I was living in a third world country. I was in Austin, and, for the people affected, I feel bad for you guys. We were in a hotel that did not have our electricity shut off, so can't complain too hard. But every day was essentially trying to find food and waiting for about 3 hours to normally get tacos. That's kind of the main thing we could find. My wife was so...
Is there a bad time for tacos, though?
The tacos were great in Texas, but at some point when you're just like, all I could find is one meal today, and it was tacos, and then you're like, oh man, I hope I find food tomorrow, and it's tacos again. It's like, man, it'd be nice to find something that has more vegetables or fruit or something. No, but otherwise, it wasn't too bad for us. It was a neat experience to see snow, 10 inches of snow in a downtown area, and to see a bunch of people who pay probably a decent amount of money because they're in a big city to live there, live like third world people waiting in 2-hour lines to get to grocery stores where they had no fresh produce or vegetables or anything. Nothing was fresh there, and they only had frozen goods. But yeah, man, that gets us to what we do here. We're Super BS, a podcast about video games mostly. And when you got storms, you got one thing you can do in it. Okay. Besides masturbation, you got video games. There's only, I guess, two things. Okay. There's only two things you can do. Everybody knows this is a kid's podcast. Okay. So don't ask your parents what that is. But yes, video game playing. And I played one game that I want to talk about before I let you talk about any stupid stuff you've been playing. I picked up Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury right before I came to visit you. I guess now last weekend, a week ago. Yeah, do you know anything about the game or no?
No, I know that I wanted to play it, and I just haven't had a chance to. I've heard good things. Is it good? Are the things good that I'm hearing? What's going on?
The things are bad. Everything that you heard's a lie. Actually, it's actually really terrible and crappy.
Oh,
Now,
no.
I'm gonna get to my critiques before I get to the good stuff because there are some large critiques that I have, like Bowser's Fury, which is the new single-player open-world Mario semi-collectathon, more like 3D World, where you're kind of going and doing a challenge and getting a cat shine, which is essentially like shines like Super Mario Sunshine. You're just kind of like doing these simple platforms and getting those. There's 100 of those. It runs extremely poorly undocked. It runs at like sub 30 frames per second. So unless you're playing on your TV, it's not the best experience. And they have this really annoying thing where Bowser, he'll attack you every between 2 and 5 minutes in game time. And the only way to make him go away is either to fight him by becoming giant or to...
So you're Dynamaxing Mario? Is that what's going on?
Legit. That exactly what you just said. That is... Yes, that's what's happening. You can either do that or you can collect a shine, and sometimes that will make him go away. It will damage him to make him go away. Now, the annoying thing is you need him to appear occasionally to blow up these blocks that only he can blow up, but you can't summon him at will. So... you need to be ready whenever he shows up to go back to those places if you want 100% the game.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, so I haven't finished that because of that. I've beat him, and I'm like 85 shines in. It is a lot of fun, but it is kind of annoying to be like, oh, I need to wait 5 more minutes to go get this next one. Then I need to wait 5 more minutes. So, yeah, that's kind of the place I'm in that game. And then Super Mario 3D World, which originally came out on Wii U, runs great, docked, undocked, 60 frames per second, 1080p. Like, it looks good. It plays great, but they have one crazy annoying thing that is literally blowing my mind. So I played through the whole game.
Is it too much Sonic in there?
That's actually
Olympics.
it. And not enough tails. Okay, like if they would just put tails in there, it would be easy. I could just fly through every level.
Yeah, seriously.
No, it's so they have these 3 stars you collect in every level and a stamp, and I did that. I got all the 3 green stars you can find, all the stamps, and you have to touch the top of the flagpole to do that, and then you'll 100% a level, right? And I did that through. There's 4 special worlds, and 3 of them are you just keep going through the game, you keep unlocking them after the 6 worlds. Well, because the game is multiplayer, up to 4-player online or offline, they want you to play through that game, if you're playing single player, 5 times to unlock the final world. You have to play through it with every
Think about
character.
it, though. That's kind of how it is with the other Mario games, too, right? You're collecting stars so that you can get to these bonus worlds and levels.
Yeah, so imagine if
typical
Mario
Mario
64 was like, hey, you got 120 stars with Mario. Now you need to get 120 stars with Luigi. Now you need to get 120 stars with Peach. Now you need to get 120 stars with Toad. Now you need to get 120 stars with Rosalina. And then you can unlock the final world.
Yeah, and instead of you going into the paintings go into you.
It's a real dark place, man. You don't want to go there. But anyways, yeah, so that's my biggest beef because I don't think I'm ever going to 100% the game because I just don't have the will to play through it 5 times. Otherwise, though, it's great. Like, I definitely got my money's worth. That was pretty much what I did that entire trip. I had really spotty internet that couldn't connect to my Switch, so I wasn't able to download some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. But it was a blast, man. I'm glad I bought it. I'll probably still play it a little bit more, but I just don't think I'm going to get to that 100% that I like to get to in these Mario games.
So it's worth the $60 price tag on the game?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. It's the best port from a Wii U game they've done so far because Bowser's Fury is an additional like 4 hours of game. So you got like a full long game that if you want to 100%, you're going to play for about 20 hours. And then you've got another thing. I've got other stuff to talk about, but I want to know what you were playing during these power outage, snowstorm, blizzardy times.
All right. So, I mean, it's been a couple weeks since we talked. I've been playing more Valhalla. Not really a lot more to say on that. Still just exploring things.
Real
and
quick,
doing
though,
random...
how far are you at? Like, what's your power level? Because I think it goes up to 400, right?
I'm on. I just hit like 280 the other night. So
And it's out of 4 something, right?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
And so I'm basically like I had those issues where like my game got erased, and I got really mad because I was it was hard. It wasn't like a walk in the park. It wasn't like when you beef up your characters in Final Fantasy, you just kind of like blow through everything. That's not what this was. Like this was like
okay.
I did a lot of like dodging and trying to climb up things and attack from up high because these enemies were genuinely hard. That's why I was so mad when my game got erased. Anyways, before I go back and start doing the stuff that got messed up, I'm just gonna explore and upgrade my equipment and do a lot of the side quests, get more experience points, and hopefully I'll be able to get through. It'll take less time to do the stuff that I've already done.
Okay.
That being said, that's where I am with that. I've been browsing the catalog on Games Pass, played a little more of the medium. I'm still enjoying the game a lot. It is what I talked about earlier. You have your split screen stuff. I'm at the point now. You remember when I told you that giant like demon thing yet chases you around?
Yeah.
Now it's become more consistent. Like he chases you in the real world too. Like he's invisible and you have to use your second sight to see him. And he just like, you'll be doing something, all of a sudden something grabs you and like rips you into pieces, or not rips you into pieces, but like does the thing and your eyes glow and it kills you.
That sounds really annoying. That doesn't sound fun.
It is annoying because you really have to be staring at the screen to notice like the outline of this giant thing following you around. And I've died a couple times, and it is frustrating, but I'm still like intrigued enough by the game to keep playing. We'll see. I don't want to do, and like I said, like I don't like those chase scenes because it stresses me out. So I don't know how much more of that I'm going to be able to take from this game, especially if there's one as long as the first one. I just don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I played Yakuza 0. So I've never played a Yakuza game. I know I have Yakuza Like a Dragon. I kind of wanted to get a taste for the world before I jumped into Like a Dragon. So I downloaded 0 on Games Pass. I like it a lot. It reminds me of those old school arcade brawlers.
Yeah.
And I like walking around. I don't know. There's like it takes me back, like it's like a mixture of old arcade games and the old PlayStation era games where you had like how just the way Japan is depicted in games like Ridge Racer and all those early PlayStation games.
Did you ever play Shenmue?
No, I did not. I've seen. We've talked about that game before. I haven't had a chance to pick that one up.
I played it on Dreamcast, and on Gamecast. And that is Malibu's Most Wanted for all of you big fans of Jamie Kennedy. On Dreamcast. And Yakuza reminds me of like a spiritual successor to that, like a much better game where you get to still walk around a place in Japan and have a general Japanese life, but the fighting in Shenmue wasn't very fun. Whereas like the basic Yakuza games, not Like a Dragon, the fighting is decent. It's still a brawler. I'm not a huge fan of that. We've talked multiple times, but I loved Like a Dragon, obviously. We talked about it tons. But yeah, I played some 0. I think I might pick up Judgment. I personally don't know, though, if I'm going to get back into the older ones. How far are you in 0?
So I just was told that I have to go to prison, and that's...
No, that's Like a Dragon.
No, in Yakuza 0, you're told that you have to turn yourself in to the authorities because you get framed for a murder, and you have to go... No
way. Serious?
Yeah, you have to go to jail. And so, like, I'm right at that part, but right now he's trying to figure out, like, who framed him. And so there's this old guy that keeps, like... Okay, so I do like the upgrade system in this. I like how you, like, learn new moves, and there's this old guy that, like, calls you he's an American, and he says that he's your teacher, and, like, he teaches you how to use the upgrade system.
Okay.
The characters are interesting. Like, I've gotten into, like... I don't know, like there's just drunk people hanging out outside of places I need to get into, so it like makes me fight drunk people.
Yeah.
And it makes you like, you literally just fight anybody who looks at you weird. And so I've just been going around Japan punching fools in the face,
It's just so wild because so much of that setup is similar to Like a Dragon. Like what you said, there is very, very, very many similarities to that and Like a Dragon's beginning.
Oh, I'm sure.
That's
sure.
cool, man. You gonna give that one any more time or no?
Yeah, no, I'll jump back into it. I don't know when I will, but I am interested enough to keep going. I don't know if I'm gonna. This might be one of those games where I just kind of mainline it. I don't do any like the side quests or anything. I want a taste of the Yakuza story so that maybe I can jump into some of these other ones. That being said, I downloaded Donut County. I really like that game. I don't know what it is. Like, do you remember that game when we were in high school? It's like those like physics-based games, right? Where you're on the bicycle and you have to like balance the bicycle guy to go down the ramps and stuff.
I think I know you're talking about Trials. Like the Xbox game where you have to like deal with acceleration and deceleration, so you wouldn't fall.
These were Java games we'd play in the computer lab. I remember in Schooler's class we'd sit there and play. Anyways, there's something about physics-based games that like are, I don't know, they're fun and you actually have to like use your brain to play them. So I've been playing Donut County.
Did we talk about that on the original Super BS? I picked it up a couple years ago, and I can't remember if I played it or if it had been only on PlayStation at that point.
I don't know. I know it just got released on Switch last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, actually 2 years ago it was on Switch, and it just got put on Game Pass this last month, I want to say. Dr. Donna loved it. I think it's great. It's no Katamari Damacy for me. I think it's too simple, but it's neat.
But I mean, it's a fun game. You know, it takes probably 2.5 hours maybe to finish. Like, it's not very long.
Oh, you finished it?
No, I'm at the last level, but I had to go, so I just haven't had a chance to turn it back on.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. Like, it's a nice like brainless game, and the characters and the community created within the game is fun and interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a really well-made game. When I think it's only made, I know Ben Esposito made it, but I don't know if there's more than him. Like, I'm sure there's other people, but I don't know if he hired contractors or the whole game is just him.
Yeah, I know he did like the soundtrack, and he did a lot of he directed it, and
yeah. That's crazy, man. But anyways, that's cool. I'm glad you're playing that. Sorry about
no, you're good. And then I played Moving Out a little bit before I got kicked off the internet the other night.
That game's great, man.
It is fun, man. It's making me want to play the 2-player version of it. Not Overcooked, but I want to play the 2-player version just to see like how chaotic it gets. You know, there's like, I was trying to fit things onto the truck, and you have to like, I was trying to like flip the couch over, but you have to like move back and forth to get it to kind of roll on its sides. So yeah, really, really fun game. And then finally, I went back to Pokemon Sword.
Did you ever finish it, or
no? I did not finish it. Like, I got to the last gym boss, and then I just stopped playing. But now that, you know, when the electricity was out, and not electricity, but the internet was out, I didn't really have a lot of choices. So I picked up the Switch and started playing things. Beat the last gym boss. I'm at the Pokemon League now.
Okay, so the final tower, right, or whatever it's called.
So I just got to do that. And, you know, looking at getting there, the game is really short. You know, I don't know about you, but I remember when we were kids, like playing Pokemon Red and Blue, and it took me a lot more time to play that game than it took me to play this one.
Well, I'm pretty far in Sword, and I did not finish, what's that game called? Let's Go. Yeah. I want to say you told me Let's Go wasn't too long, but I only got halfway through, and Let's Go is definitely shorter than the original Red and Blue, just because everything's been sped up, kind of. Yeah. But still, like, yeah, I totally remember Red and Blue being like an epic. Just going through that original cave to get to the first city, like, that took forever. And I think a lot of it was load times and difficulty and not knowing what you're doing and it being a new experience. Like, I remember when I got on the boat in Blue, like, that being like a big moment. Like, I remember kind of where I was sitting and playing. So yeah, man, I totally get what you mean. I'm pretty far in Sword. I think I'm like the 6th gym or whatever, but it just doesn't compel me to finish it at all. Like, I have no like, oh man, I need to play this. So I just stopped, you know? I don't know if I'll ever go back. So,
yeah, I mean, I probably will finish it. I just gotta. I don't know if I'm gonna do it right away. I just it was cool to see Pokemon become like 3D, you know, and be able to kind of play it
Yeah.
on the Switch in a different way. But it's just did not have as much fun with this as I had with Pokemon in the past. And it might just be because, you know, everyone calls Pokemon like baby's first RPG. It might just be because like my taste in games have evolved since those days.
I think honestly, and I don't know if we were doing we weren't doing Super BS when it came out, but I think there's just a lot of reasons why Pokemon doesn't hold up unless you're like really itching for that type of game. A lot of it is it's slow. Every battle takes way longer than it should take. It's not zippy to get into combat. There's way too many animations, and they all are running really slow. And two, like Pokemon Sword and Shield had the ability to be the first Pokemon where you didn't have to go onto routes. It could have been, didn't need to be as big as Breath of the Wild, but it could have been a semi-open exploration experience. And instead they chose, no, we're just going to have these wild zones, which are boring because there's nothing to do in them, and then you go to the next part and then you get back on the routes, and it's the exact same as it was before. So like they had the opportunity to make it like, oh, there's wild areas, oh, there's like something here that I can't cut down like Metroidvania style till I get the thing, you know. But instead they just made it like, oh, okay, you just walk around here and then you walk to the next one, you can see monsters. And
my biggest beef with the game is that like there's not a lot to explore, you know. Like they have some kind of like cool set pieces hanging around the different places that you go. Yeah. But there's not really a lot of like depth to them. You know, the cities have a lot to explore, but when you're just out in like the wild area, there's nothing there. There's nothing. Like you have this, it's the same thing with like Gears 5, right? There's this really cool open parts, but there's not really anything to do there.
That's actually, and not trying to take it back there, but that's a big problem with the Bowser's Fury like experiment that they added, is that there are like 6 spaces where there are things to do, and then there are random small things hidden around the world, but most of those like are on the water, and you have like a vehicle of some sort. I don't want to give too much away, but otherwise a lot of the travel is just like to get to point. It's the Gears 5 problem, you know, where you're like just driving around and there's really nothing cool about it. And like as a short section, it would be totally okay. But I think these people make this big system and they're like, I want to use this again because I did all this work. And it's not fun. Use it the one time. Like, think about how much better Gears 5 would have been if there was only one open world section, and even that had been like condensed. So you could like go quicker. Because I'm all down for a totally open Gears where you can like get on a chopper and go choose whatever mission you want to do and then get let out and find your way there. Totally, give it to me. But don't give me a Gears where I have to just ride around pointlessly and there's nothing going on and I just wait till I get to the next place. And sorry about taking to Gears, but this goes to Pokemon, this goes to Mario, this goes to any game where there's nothing. And some people faulted Breath of the Wild for that, but I always felt like Breath of the Wild had one more thing that I wanted to see. So that's where I think the open world design is good, where it's like, oh, I see that shrine, I want to go there. Oh, I see this, I want to find that treasure chest. But yeah, have you played anything else? I got a couple more gamey poos I want to talk to you about.
Oh yeah, sorry man, I mean to hog the spotlight, but yeah, that was it for me. I've just kind of been playing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, because we haven't talked for a while, and then when I got home from this trip, my brother-in-law he had purchased a PS5, and him and I were able to game share, and he mainlines his games on PlayStation. So I ended up getting tons of stuff, but really I'll just say that I turned on Miles Morales. It's really neat so far. I haven't gotten too far. I'd rather just wait and talk to you about it when I'm probably done with it, because it's like 8 hours. So, you know, when that happens, I'll talk about it more. And then I turned on Bugsnax, and that is one of the PS5 launch games. It's really neat. I really do like it. It's definitely an indie title. It definitely has some rough edges. It's a game that I don't think really, it's hard to say. It feels like it doesn't respect your time in terms of like, there's a lot of like puzzle solving that you need to do that is obtuse in some ways. That could be fun, but it sounds like it's also going to be like a little bit janky. Like you got to catch these bugs, and to catch these bugs, you have to have other bugs that hit these bugs. And at some point, there is a lot going on that I don't know if I'll finish it, but for a free PS Plus game, even if it would have been $20, even if I would have bought it, it was still pretty neat. I tried Fall Guys, I tried so many other things, but there's so much news, and the thing I played the most in this last week since I came to visit you was Mario, and I played like 30, 40 hours of that. If I would have had an internet connection that was working on my Switch, I probably would have played Sakuna of Rice and Ruin, a game that you and I have talked about, but I could not get my internet to work, so I could not download it while I was out. If it's okay with you, we're going to go to a quick breaky poo and then come back and talk about an insane amount of news.
Super BS. Super BS.
We are back, our brosufs. My brosuf and Jay Jolly's brosufs. News has been crazy. Let's go over some of the lesser news before we get some of these big boy newsies. I guess the PS5 has a lot of controller issues. Did you read about this? According to IGN, there's been a lot of talks about the PS5 DualSense.
Something about the DualSense, yeah.
Yeah, I guess this is becoming an issue, which is a bummer because I haven't experienced it yet, but this is another controller like the Switch controllers where it's like $80 buy a new one, and I guess people are already experiencing controller stick drift, similar to the Joy-Con drift issue, and we're like 1 month into ownership, 1 to 2 months into ownership of these things. I guess technically 3 if you got one in November. Yeah, man, I haven't experienced it yet, so I don't have a lot to say. I've heard that class action lawsuits are starting already. It is wild. I don't know why people are releasing stuff that's just broken. I get that they needed to get the stuff out. I don't know how they didn't find this in R&D. If this is already becoming a class action lawsuit experience. Are you going to pick up a PS5? Or are you going to wait till it goes on sale?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's ever going to go on sale, but I mean, I'll probably pick one up as soon as they're readily available. I just haven't been able to find them out here yet, so...
Yeah, they're still rough to find. I've been trying to help people find them, and it's like still like wake up. Same with Series X. Like I still haven't seen like a go online, buy Series X, show up tomorrow style thing. It's just
and there's not really like anything that I'm dying to play on it right now. So I mean, I might wait till something comes out that I'm really interested in.
I don't know what you think about Ratchet and Clank games, but I always love those. So that's one of the things I'm the most excited for. They finally announced a date. I want to say it's like June 11th.
Okay.
So if you like, platformers, which I believe you've said you like, then man, that game, June 11th, 2021. That game is a blast. You like level up your guns. They're just fun games. So the only thing that I have an issue right now with PS5 stuff is just because they increased the games by $10, and so far I haven't seen that being followed by Xbox. It does kind of feel like a little bit of a rip. Like I'm paying for Game Pass and I get games, whatever first party games come from Microsoft, and then for Sony it's like, oh, I want Ratchet and Clank. Oh, it's $70. I paid $15 for that game when I got my PS4. The previous game, and when I got my PS4, it was like some of the most fun I've had. But like, at least game sharing works on PlayStation. So if you go digital ownership, that's one nice thing. So you can share with one person. Did you hear about this? This is also from IGN. Microsoft announced FPS, so frames per second boost feature for Xbox Series X and S backwards compatibility games. Did you get to read a little bit about this?
I saw a little bit of it. I read like the first paragraph, didn't really go farther than that. What's going on? Like you're able to play older games at higher frame rates?
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure how it works, but so far it seems like there's only 5 titles that have been enhanced. It's Far Cry 4, New Super Lucky's Tale, Sniper Elite 4, UFC 4, and Watch Dogs 2. And games like New Super Lucky's Tale have been pushed up to 120 frames per second. I don't even have a TV that can run that, so I'm not able to try it.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have been boosted to 60, games that were originally 30 out on Xbox One, Xbox One X. So now this is kind of getting more akin to what you would see in PC gaming, where games you can make the frame rate run a lot faster.
Yeah, well, so I wonder if like the process for that is anything like up conversion. How remember they used to have DVD players that would upconvert, or like
Yeah.
Blu-ray players would upconvert DVDs to certain, formats and all that. So I wonder if that's anything like that, or if there's something that they're actually rebuilding within the game itself to allow you to do that.
No, it sounds like it's a lot more like what you talked about, Blu-ray, upconverter, and Microsoft's been really good about this. There's HDR, which I don't even have on my TV, but because I have an older TV, but HDR add-ons to backwards compatibility games. So you already could get stuff that wasn't originally in the game that Microsoft has added, and you can turn it on and off. And same with these performance enhancers. Like, I just think this stuff is so neat. The idea that you're going to be able to revisit games, you can still have them the way they were meant to be played originally, or you can turn on this that might make it run a lot better.
Yeah.
Honestly, this generation is all about, for me, frames per second. Like, that Mario Bowser's Fury handheld was horrible. Like, playing that in 30, this is the first time I felt like I played a 30 frames per second game since I got these new consoles. And just 60 frames feels so good. It's hard for me to go back anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So that's kind of like one of the interesting things they just pushed out. I want to say it is, I can't tell, but it sounds like it's already applied. So there's just like you just have to update the game if you ever want to try that out.
Well, so I'm curious how many other games they're going to be doing this for. I mean, are these 5 games like a trial run for this, or what's going on with that? But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have any like negative things on it. So I mean, I guess like as long as it's something that they can do without messing up the way the game is played, then I don't really see how this can go wrong for them.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, there's no real problems. It's just a benefit. I hope they keep expanding backwards compatibility. There's still a lot of original Xbox and 360 games that weren't made backwards compatible. I hope they keep doing that work. I hope they keep doing this work. I just think it's neat that they're doing this work at all. Like that it's not like selling us these games again for now, like, here's the frames per second booster. What game was it? Oh, it's did we talk about Mass Effect Legendary Edition? Because I didn't even put that in the news this week. Did we talk about that at all?
I think we did. I'm pretty sure we did.
Anyways, games like that, I don't even think they're running at newer frame rates. They just did a kind of a half coat of paint on games like that. And it's like, everybody's like, oh, yeah, here's $60, here's $60. And it's like, that stuff's cool and all. I think that stuff's neat, but it's like, I have those games on my Xbox right now. If they want to just upgrade that, do it.
Right, and on that note, like, to me, something like Mass Effect, why I would pay $60 for this Legendary Edition is the fact that it's just an excuse to go back to that world. And I know I can go back and play the whatever versions of it, but I mean, I would love to be able to, pick this game up and get all the achievements again. Have a reason to play this game again.
No, that's
as opposed to
fair.
like the frames per second.
I just think if they're not going to I don't even think they up the frames to 60. You know what I mean? They're not doing any Series X work. It's such a half-assed approach to a remaster. Like, I may pick it up at some point too, because it sounds like it's the easiest way to play all 3 in a row and have all the DLC. And I believe I own all the DLC, but it's just such a messy thing with how many packs they released on Mass Effect 3 and 2. So when that game drops, maybe I'll pick it up too. But I just still think that you can still sell those new things, but it is nice when the work is done on these old ones. So in case you're somebody who's like, I own that, I can play that. And then everybody who wants to spend extra money can just spend the extra money. You know what I mean? It's like no big deal.
Right.
We talked a little bit about Stadia, which is... it's crazy we're talking about it at all, but I think we talked about last time how they have shuttered all of their internal development and how it seems like it's probably the end of Stadia. According to Phil Harrison, he was a known failure with a lot of other consoles. I want to say he was behind the PS3 and the Xbox One original launch, people are saying. Like, I'm not sure about that. But anyways, from IGN, they are blaming Microsoft buying Bethesda for closing the Stadia studios, which I think is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
Sony fanboys just crying about dumb things.
Well, it's Google now. That's the stupidest thing. I think they realize they failed completely and they've given up, and so they're trying to instead of they charge people $60 per game, plus you had to buy the different Chrome stick.
And there's and there's no way of knowing when Stadia finally does fizzle out. They have allegedly there's 100 games still coming out, but when Stadia finally does fizzle out for good, do you get to keep the stuff that you've played? Is it even going to be supported still? I think that Google did zero market research on what their competition was doing. They just jumped into something because they're like, hey, we have the money to do it. So without really knowing what makes up the backbone of the gaming industry and what was in the works. Because I'm sure Sony had some inclination as to the moves that Microsoft was making, and I'm sure Microsoft has some inclination as to what moves Sony is getting ready to make. Nintendo doesn't even have to worry about this stuff, but I don't think Google really did any research on their competitors going into this market.
Yeah, I think they're just, man, they took the too big to fail approach that the banks and every other company that's ever failed has had, where it's oh, we're so big, we don't really need to do any work, and nothing bad will happen to us, and we'll always get good stuff. And when people had no clue what it was or how to get it or what the whole concept was, because I don't know if you remember their advertisement when it came out, I think it was the end of 2019, they were insane commercials. They were supposed to be viral marketing ads where it was weird nonsense, and they didn't explain what Stadia was, So you're trying to get people on a cloud service where they're going to have to spend $60 full price on games, no option for a Netflix-like service, and they don't own anything. And you're coming from a company that shuttered so many of your own products in the past. It's Google to me is this behemoth that them and Amazon, I don't want them in the game industry.
Oh, for sure.
Microsoft, I'm all about competition, but Microsoft, people could have said this about them in 2000, 2001, but they took it serious for the 360 generation.
Yeah,
and they did one smart thing, and they bought Bungie for the original Xbox. They made some right calls. Google's done nothing. They shutter all internal development. They don't even release modern games. They don't help the studios. Everything's harder to make on Stadia. They should have made it easier to make games for Stadia.
Yeah, and here's a big thing too, is the fact that I'm sure because Google is Google, there's probably some assumption that people are just going to be flocking to them.
That's it.
If people want to come work for us, we're big. We don't have to worry about that. But they didn't take into consideration the fact that where Phil Spencer said that he's not opposed to allowing Bethesda games to release on the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
They didn't take into account the fact that Stadia is such a nothing, even when they were first announced, that anybody, whether Sony or Microsoft, would even allow their first party studios to release on Stadia. There's probably not even any chance that would ever happen, just because they're a fly on the back of the gaming industry right now,
Yeah, they were nothing. They had no games. They had no killer app. They had no reason to get a Stadia when it came out. They were making studios a year after it came out. They opened these studios, and it's I don't think they looked at anything on Earth. They don't realize games take multiple years to develop, 3+ years. And so now they're blaming Microsoft for buying Bethesda for their closure, which is insane. One other piece of Google news, you mentioned it, is that they said they're going to get 100 games in 2021. That list right now is a few Shantae games that have already been released on everything else. Judgment, which is coming to Series X and PS5, but it's already on PS4. And I don't even know, Kaze and the Wild Masks. If you look at this list, it's 7 games. They're all kind of a joke. And supposedly there's 100 games coming, but they don't even have a list. The whole thing to me is just insane. The fact that people are oh man, I get the tech could be cool, but if there's no games, it doesn't matter. Do you remember that stupid, it was a phone, but it also played games, and you had to buy this weird phone machine, Engage, I want to say it was called, when we were younger and in high school. And it had the Metal Slug games came out on it. because it was
Oh.
like, I want to say it was called the Engage. It was it was a phone that also played games. And it was Nokia, and there were like 2 interesting games on it, but you had to have this ugly, stupid device that didn't look like it was a good phone, and it didn't look like it was good at playing games. And this was
Yeah.
before, Apple came in. And it's just like, just because you can make something, if you don't have amazing things to go along with it and it's not cool, you're not going to take off. Like, everybody needs to remember that Microsoft's original Xbox had a killer app, had a bunch of other, had Microsoft backing it, and it still was like, I think, 3rd place. I still think the GameCube might have even outsold it. Like, it took a lot of constant development for them.
Well,
So,
Microsoft went in taking it seriously, though. Like, they didn't go in thinking just because we had money, we can do this. Like, that Microsoft went in with the intention of staying in the game for the long run.
Yeah.
And Google just kind of went in thinking, again, we have the money. We're going to be able to do anything we want to.
Yeah, and by the way, I just wanted to fact check myself. I was wrong. Original Xbox outsold GameCube by like 3 million units. Not a lot compared to the PS2, which was like the dominating system at the time. But yeah, man, we could talk about Stadia all day. Let's move on though, because they're such a bummer. That company, I just wish Google would end now and just be out of this whole thing, so I never have to talk about them again. I mean, technically, I guess we don't have to bring it up, but it's like they're a joke. And the fact that they try to use Microsoft or anybody else to try to explain why they stole whoever bought Stadia, why they're going to shutter all that game probably so you can't own them or play them, and those people are going to lose their money is so messed up that people are going to have lost money to them because they're just like, oh, we're Google. Hopefully they refund every single person who ever purchased a Stadia, which I bet they easily could afford because not many people bought one. But whatever, man. It is what it is. This last weekend, while we were living the life in a snowstorm, BlizzCon happened. They knew there was a blizzard happening where we were, so they wanted to do BlizzCon 2021. It was all digital. It seemed not crazy. Let's talk about the news. Did you watch this at all or no? Or did you see any of it?
So I looked at the news. I was honestly hoping for like, when I heard that they had remastered not remastered, but they're re-releasing some of their older stuff on consoles, I was hoping there'd be like a Warcraft 2 or 3 thing in there, because I did enjoy playing those games when I was younger.
Yeah.
But all I'm seeing right now, with the exception of Overwatch 2, is I'm seeing Blizzard trying to make games for a generation of gamers that doesn't really have time to play those kind of games anymore. Like, I feel like they're slowly fading into irrelevance.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's go over this news piece by piece. There's not much to it. They didn't need a BlizzCon. Like, it's weird to say because they missed last year, but they could have skipped this year as well. This is according to The Verge. Thanks, The Verge. So they released one thing. They shadow dropped one thing, which was neat, because we'll talk about the Direct soon, and there was like no shadow drops there. The Blizzard Arcade Collection, which is Lost Vikings, just the first game. I think there were 2 that were released. Rock and Roll Racing and Blackthorn. These were all Super Nintendo games. You can now get them on PC, Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch. It's $20. Those are all interesting games. I don't think I'll buy that collection. Like, I don't have nostalgia for anything. I played Lost Vikings once as a child. I don't know if you saw the news, but they also didn't get the rights to the music in Rock and Roll Racing. So they said not to, if you're Twitch streaming, you need to mute it or else you'll get a DMCA.
Oh, geez.
They need to figure that stuff out now, man. Like,
that's tough.
I'll talk about the one other hilarious DMCA at the very end of it. I'll talk about it now. Did you see that they had Metallica play? And Twitch couldn't get the rights to the Metallica music that was playing, so they played 8-bit folk music over the Metallica live show on Twitch. Yeah, I guess on the Blizzard channel it was fine, but on the main Twitch channel they had 8-bit folk music playing because they were worried about a DMCA, even though it was Metallica live playing because they didn't get the rights. Such a crazy world we live in, man. It is so insane.
So much lawsuit fear going around.
Yeah, dude. So they talked a little bit about Diablo 4. We didn't get to talk about it because we missed last week, but they mentioned before this that Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 aren't coming out this year. So they're not 2021 games.
Yeah, they were basically talking about things we might not even see next year either. That's just basically saying this is happening, and if it gets finished in time, if it gets finished soon, so be it. If not, then who knows when you'll play these.
Yeah, it's weird because like I think we've all come to terms with that. Obviously, development on everything got slowed down due to what's going on, pandemic, everything on Earth, right? That's just weird last year and a half. But like at the same point, do you need to keep doing a BlizzCon if you don't really have anything to show?
Well,
maybe just wait. You know,
that's what I was gonna say. I mean, again, like they're kind of fading themselves into irrelevance, right? Because they had this BlizzCon and they didn't really like give the fans anything. There wasn't anything exciting to announce. It's the same thing with like I appreciated what Nintendo did, right? Where they said, "Hey, I don't have anything new to report on Breath of the Wild, but here's this new Zelda remaster."
Don't tell people, okay? That's a spoiler. We're almost there.
Yeah, sorry. No, but that was fine and that was cool. But like Blizzard just said, "Oh, hey, there's some stuff that you might be able to play soon." There wasn't any like big announcements like, "Oh, there's Warcraft 5 is coming out" or something like that. Like they just said Diablo 4, which is kind of like one of their not amazing, it's not their most popular property, you know. So I don't really.
Diablo has actually, that's the craziest thing. Like I wasn't a big Diablo 3 person, but Diablo has become their most, I would say maybe their most popular property outside Overwatch because World of Warcraft, like you said, they're fading into relevance. They announced the Burning Crusade, which was a game that came out in 2007. So they have a World of Warcraft Classic Burning Crusade edition. So they announced that for sometime this year. They announced, this is the thing I'm most excited for, is Diablo 2 Resurrected, which is like an HD remaster of Diablo 2 on consoles. So on Series X, PS5, Switch, PS4, the whole gang, PC. But they didn't even give a date. It just said like this year. So, and then they talked about Overwatch 2, and it's like, one, that game's not even coming out this year. And two, like, that's just, I mean, that's the main problem. The game's not coming out this year. How long of a cycle do you need to talk about a multiplayer shooter that's built off the backbones of Overwatch 1? You know, Overwatch was cool.
Yeah.
I played it in 2016, but do I really need to hear about a game I'm not even going to touch till next year that's just a multiplayer shooter?
Yeah, I mean, there were no like big hype moments in this. It felt like when they showed at E3, they would show videos for games you won't play for like 5 years. That's what this felt like.
Yeah, I think literally the biggest hype moment out of the entire thing, and this was rumored, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, was Diablo 2. That's the biggest hype thing they had, is a game that's been rumored for literally years at this point. Whatever, man. That was BlizzCon. I'm glad about Diablo 2. I liked that one quite a bit. I'm hoping, they don't try to drop it at $60. I'm sure they will, so I'll probably wait for a while and play it later. Before we get to pretty much the biggest news that happened, we have one little piece of small news, is that Nintendo, we talked about Drift earlier. I guess they have a bunch of class action lawsuits about Joy-Con Drift.
That's been going on for a while. I didn't think that anything ever came of those, though. Is this actually being taken seriously?
So this is just from IGN. The main thing I didn't realize is that they have 3 separate class action lawsuits against Nintendo for Joy-Con Drift. So they had one filed in July 19th of 2019. That's from Washington somewhere. I guess it's for United States District Court for Washington against Nintendo. Then there's one on October 5th, 2020. That's Northern California, San Francisco's against Nintendo. And then there's one November 17th, 2020. That is also a Washington one against Nintendo. So yeah, man, I don't know what's going to happen. I really hope Nintendo has to give everybody free Joy-Con, because mine are so bad that it's like not fun to play games portable anymore. Like the character, like Mario, died a lot of times because he just moved on his own and ran off the screen. But I don't know what to do, because do I spend $80 and get a new one that's also going to get drift? Or do I just like suffer through the minor drift that I have, where my characters will die?
Because mine has minor drift too. It has never been enough to actually like stop me playing the game, so I haven't like complained about it. But I mean, you're faced with this thing like, are you going to pay that? Because the Joy-Cons are expensive; they're crazy expensive.
$80, man. Yeah, most expensive.
Are you gonna pay that money, and then what if Nintendo ends up doing what you just said? Then you're kind of out that money. So I don't know. It's a
the whole thing's the whole thing's crazy, man. Nintendo, and I haven't experienced it yet with PlayStation, but Sony, they shouldn't be doing this stuff. Their controllers are so expensive, and it just sounds crazy to me to like my drift is getting bad. Like I said, Mario died multiple times when I was playing because he ran off the screen before, like if I set him in a position where he, I expected him not to move. But because of everything going on, I'm not traveling as much anymore. So I have a Pro controller, which doesn't have drift. So I normally, if I'm sitting at home and I want to play Switch, which I haven't wanted to a lot, I'll just play on a Pro controller. You know what I mean? So yeah, the first time I experienced it really was this trip that I went on. It's the last, a week and a half ago now. Anyways, that stuff's crazy. Let's get to what probably is the first kind of topic. We'll try to run through it because we've been going for a while, but Nintendo Direct, this is insane. Since September of 2019, this is the first Nintendo Direct. It happened out of the blue, announced during this blizzard storm that we were in. We'll run through what went on. I'm glad they didn't have a Nintendo Direct last year, because if this news was going like this way, I don't even know what the Nintendo Direct would have been last year, because this one was kind of underwhelming. So we'll start off the beginning and talk about the parts. They started with Xenoblade Chronicles 2's Booby Chick. I guess her name's Pyra, which that game is just like, talk about male gaze and stuff that people don't like. I'm surprised people aren't like rioting at Nintendo for this just overly sexualized young girl character they always love putting. But more power to the women, or whatever the thing is.
I guess what kind of like made me not mad about it, but like disappointed, I guess, was the fact that like I thought that it was going to be a new Xenoblade Chronicles game, and then it ended up being a Smash Brothers thing. Like I don't really like. I'm done with Smash Brothers. Like I played it, and that's about all I'm going to do now, and I probably won't go back to it unless I got buddies over and they all want to play it. But I don't have, at this point. I'm over it.
Yeah, same. Like maybe I'll do the same thing I did the last time, and I got the character pass way after it already all came out. Maybe I'll do the same thing this time. But so far, this new character pack hasn't made me want to get it at all. Like I can't remember who was before Pyra. Sephiroth, I guess. I kind of want Sephiroth. So there's like a character. But yeah, I like you. I don't play Smash ever, so it's I don't see myself getting it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I think I talked about it on old SuperBS. I hated it. Like I'm down to retry it again if it ever goes $30, but it was so JRPG-ness of, kill rats, garbage over and over and over again. It wasn't fun, at least at the beginning. I never played the original Xenoblade Chronicles, the definitive one that I know you enjoyed. But Xenoblade Chronicles 2 I did not like. If that ever drops to $30, I might pick it up and try it again.
Yeah, so that was a game that like I got about 2 hours into, and I just never went back to it because there are other things out that I was playing at the time.
Oh, you picked it up?
Yeah, I got it like for Christmas that year it came out. So it was just something I played, but there wasn't really anything like memorable about it. It wasn't nearly as fun as the Xenoblade Chronicles I'm playing now, so I just never really bothered going back to it.
Yeah. It is what it is. Nintendo then like added a bunch of like indie stuff that's already out on other stuff. Fallout guys, Ultimate Knockouts coming out in summer. What was it? Outer Wilds, that space indie game that was really popular. That's coming out in summer. They're doing some Super Mario items and Animal Crossing. It was a lot of small games and ports. They did announce that Legend of Mana Remastered, which is like one of my favorite PS1 RPGs, that's coming to Switch in June. I wish that would have been a shadow drop. I actually would have picked it up if it's reasonably priced. Square Enix is known for like gouging people. Yeah. They showed more Monster Hunter Rise. They showed Tales from the Borderlands, which is an old Telltale game. I guess that's coming. There's a Capcom arcade thing. Did you get that? I know you like Ghosts and Goblins, and that's free if you download it.
No, I didn't. I did not download it. I didn't have an internet signal strong enough to do that, and then I completely forgot about it till you just mentioned it. So I'll probably go online and get that.
Yeah, I want to say there's a time limit to download those games for free. I should probably download it as well because it's free. Stubbs the Zombie, the old Microsoft game built on the Halo engine. That's coming out in March. It's just so funny that that's coming out. No More Heroes 3. They talked about that since like I want to say the Switch launched. So that has a date, August 27th.
I liked the first No More Heroes, but this one just seems so bizarre that I don't know
Yeah.
I don't know where my interest is for it.
I don't know. We'll see when it comes out. It also looks like it runs really poorly. Like that trailer didn't sell me on it at all. Looked ugly. Looked like it ran poorly. They talked about stuff they have already talked about tons of times before. Apex Legends, which we already knew was coming out. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, which you and I talked about. Saga Frontier Remastered, which I want to say I talked with Dr. Don about privately, so it sounds like that was announced. And Bravely Default 2, which comes out like next week or around the time you listen to this. They have a Star Wars indie game that looks like it's a phone game called Star Wars Hunters. I don't know what it is.
It's supposed to be like a multiplayer game.
Yeah, nobody really knows what it is though. The teaser was horrible. Didn't explain anything. Finally, some news I actually started caring about was when they showed Mario Golf. I loved Mario Golf on N64, and this one with like the story mode and all of the other stuff looks so much fun. It's just getting hard to sell me on these $60 games. That's the only problem, is because a lot of them are like short. So it's hard to be like, oh, I'll spend $60 for 8 hours of fun.
Yeah.
But if I am in that mood when that game comes out this summer, I will probably pick it up. Are you have any interest in Mario Golf Super Rush?
No, I'm really I'm pretty excited about it. Like I love I have a guilty pleasure for like the Tiger Woods games on on Xbox. So I mean, I will probably pick up the Mario Golf game. I have liked the Mario Golf games in the past, so this is I am excited about it.
Yeah, and then my game of the show, Project Triangle Strategy, from the people who made Octopath Traveler.
Does that take place in the same world as Octopath Traveler? Because it's the same animation style.
It's just the same team. I don't know if it's going to be the same world. I think it'll probably be linked somehow, but you know what? Whatever. The name is terrible. It looks really cool. I guess there's a demo. The biggest thing that kind of bummed me out is Nintendo had said before this started that they were going to be talking about games coming out in the first half of 2021, and this was a 2022 game. So it looks cool. I'm excited to try the demo out. I haven't gotten around to it, but I just don't know why Nintendo said that. If they were going to be showing, this isn't the only 2022 game that they showed. There's another one too. Did you get a chance to try it or no?
I have Octopath Traveler.
No, sorry, Project Triangle Strategy. Did you try the demo?
No, I haven't had a chance to.
And then I think the biggest news of the whole show, which you mentioned, Breath of the Wild 2, they said they're not talking about it yet. They're going to talk about it later, which is funny, man, because they know people want that. And biggest news probably from the show was Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, which is announced for this fall or this summer, July 16th. You know what? That had been rumored for so long. I want to say the rumor of Skyward Sword has been around for almost 2 years as well. So I am excited because here's what really pulled me out of like the Wii era Zelda games was the motion controls. Yeah.
And so I never like Twilight Princess was fun for like 2 hours and then I stopped because I was just tired of. I want to sit down with a controller and play games. You know, I'm not a big fan of motion gaming. So I wanted to play Skyward Sword really bad, but then I saw it was the same thing. So what's got me really excited about this is the fact that they have a controller mode on there. So that is something that I will pick it up. You know, I definitely am looking forward to it.
I just hope they're not weird about the controller mode, like the buttons mode or whatever they call it, a button-only controller scheme, and I hope they allow you to play it on the TV with button-only controls. I hope it's not like Pokemon Go had this weird thing where if you played handheld, you had to use touchscreen controls for certain things, like throwing the Pokeball, like you couldn't use. So I just hope it's not that type of nonsense where it's like, oh, well, if you're on your TV, you have to use motion controls because it's I don't really want to. You know, I'm down to try it out for like a couple minutes, but I don't think I'm going to play through the whole game with motion controls. And then they closed out the show with something that for you and I, probably bizarre, but I'm sure there's kids who are excited. Splatoon 3, and it's not even announced for this year. It's announced for 2022. That was weird, man.
That was a weird game. Yeah, it's kind of a very niche game to close out the conference with.
Yeah, in 2022, again, like they had. That makes me worried that what they showed is what they have for the year. Why would you show this so far in advance if you had more stuff lined up for this year?
Right.
I don't know, man. I was stoked to have a direct. Like, even though I'm complaining a ton about it, I had a blast watching it. There were still like 4 things I'm interested in. I even like Splatoon 2, so I'll probably try Splatoon 3 when it comes out. But it felt weird. It didn't feel like show closing worthy. That would be like if they put ARMS 2 up there for me. Like, man, remember ARMS?
Not interested. Yeah.
Did you have any favorite game of the show? The thing that you were like excited for?
No, I mean, Mario Golf is something I'm really excited about. And yeah, other than that, like there's not really, like, I was hoping for more Breath of the Wild stuff. I was hoping for, maybe something regarding another Super Mario game, but
yeah.
Or even just something I could sink my teeth into within the next like 6 months, that was even the least bit fascinating to me. But instead, we got all these things that don't have clear release dates, or they're coming out, 2022. It was a lot of things that, like, I cared about maybe 3 things shown.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused as to why they chose February to have this direct at all. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why that direct wasn't in the summer. Like, that would have made way more sense to me. Oh, this game comes out this month. This game comes out next month. And then just had like a Smash trailer, on its own.
Yeah. I get you.
Because otherwise, I'm there with you. Like, I think there's some neat stuff. I probably am the idiot who will pay $60 for Skyward Sword because I never played it. As long as comes out and it's like trash and you have to use motion controls and all that stuff. But it just felt like I get it. There's a pandemic. I get that Japan has not been able to go back to work or whatever. But that made sense why there was no direct last year, And I think they maybe even should have waited longer. We all got used to no direct. So wait till you can make people stoked. And that was cool, but there was no need for a direct till like June. They should have had direct in June. And then they could have been like, oh, next week, Mario Golf comes out. A month later, Skyward Sword comes out. You know what I mean? Like, boom, boom, boom. But, I mean, at least we know stuff's coming to Switch. Like, I'll probably play a couple games on my Switch this year. Unlike last year where I played Animal Crossing and a little bit of Hades.
Didn't really, kind of put it down.
Yeah, I didn't touch Switch at all last year, practically. So, my bro, we have gone longer than normal. I'm sure you are getting crazy busy with school and stuff. We should probably head out. Hopefully one of these weeks we'll have a normal episode again. It's been so long since we've just had like a topic. We didn't even get a chance to talk about what we're excited for in 2021, and now we got new stuff to talk about.
We'll just make sure, hopefully this coming week's a slow week for news, and we'll be able to do a topic next time.
Dude, it is crazy, my man. It is amazing how insane this year has been so far. Do you have anything to add before we hit the road?
No, that's it, man.
Peace.
Late.
Oh, yeah.